All right, let's keep rolling on our breakdown of Wave Echo Cave from Phandelver and below the Shattered Obelisk. I've run this for multiple parties, I've made many mistakes, and I'm gonna teach you guys how to not repeat those. Let's get into it. Area W9 is that large central cavern. It has 3 tiers, 2 tiers high, like 10 feet high escarpments on either side, and then a lower level in the middle. The middle has some large tables and braziers, and there are several skeletal remains spread around. Again, the book describes these as part of that battle with the raiders. So with this being further into the cave, I probably wouldn't do the shards of the obelisk like I mentioned before, but what you can do, which ties into something that comes in later, where the eldritch stuff happening in the second half, it starts to mutate people in the world, both NPCs and possibly player characters. So what I have done is I make some of these bodies have like weird mutations, have like an extra arm or like a tentacle growing out somewhere. In the beginning of the book, it lists like the mutations that your party members may undergo as the eldritch stuff in the second half starts happening more and more. I would have some of these fallen bodies have some of those mutations, and you can still have it like they're fighting each other. Maybe the ones that are mutated have also had their minds warped and they were fighting each other. So that's how I would handle those bodies. There are 5 ghouls up on the western ledge, and if there's a light source or your party makes any noise, they will jump down and attack. They are hungry, they'll fight until destroyed. It only takes a DC 12, either passive or perception check, to notice the ghouls. So pretty much any party is going to have people with at least a 12 passive perception. So you can just go ahead and tell your party that the ghouls are there when they come in. Each one of those little escarpments, they have those stairs built into them, but it's a DC 12 athletics to try to climb it, and if you fail, you fall and take 1d6 falling damage. So, Area 10 is this room with this pool of water. It is still, the shore is a bunch of broken shells of some pale muscle, and there are 2 exits from this room. You can either take the stairs to the east, or the tunnel that the stream comes out of is about 3 feet deep, but it's also like 3 feet above the water, so it's 5 to 6 feet. And it says that party members can easily wade through that stream to area W18. So the water is 20 feet deep at the middle, and there is a giant constrictor snake in there. The party can see little fish swimming around the edge, but as they go by the pool, that giant constrictor snake will slither out and attack the party member in the back. So it's a surprise attack. It doesn't say you even get to roll perception or anything. It just says that the snake slithers out and attacks. So anybody who searches the pool can roll a perception check and find 10 feet down and 10 feet out from shore the body of a wizard. His skeleton is riddled with arrows, and clutched in his bony hand is a wand of magic missiles. He is also wearing 3 rings worth 150 gold pieces each. Area W11 is similar to Area W6. It is like living quarters. The only difference is that this room is occupied by 6 bugbears, 1 larger than the rest, and they are loyal minions to the spider. If you listen at the door with a DC 10 perception check, you can hear gruff voices speaking Goblin. The door on the west is not locked. It can be opened easily from either direction. The door on the east, if you're trying to come in this room, is barred and requires a DC 20 athletics check to get through. If you come in from the west, you can easily just lift that bar and continue out the other way. The lead bugbear has about 4 gold pieces worth of coins and 2 agates worth 10 gold pieces each, and a potion of healing. Area W12 is the smelter cavern. There's this water wheel which powers a bellows which operates a smelter. The dwarves would smelt silver, gold, platinum ore here. The channel is dry. The dwarves would divert the stream from W18 to power the wheel. There's entrances from the west, the south, the east. You can get here a lot of different ways. And if you drop down into that channel, you can go to W16 or W18. So this is kind of like a central hub to get to a lot of different places. In this room are a bunch of bodies. Again, I would have some be normalish looking and some have those grotesque mutations. So 8 of these dwarven bodies are zombies. that will get up and start to attack anybody who comes in. There is also a green flame skull floating around. It's a flame skull that was put here by the wizards who used to operate this mine with the dwarves. And it was given the instructions to stop any intruders who come in from getting any further. A directive which it is still honoring. So this is going to be a pretty tough battle for a level 4 party. This is one of the main obstacles, like the fungi room, that is stopping Nesnar the spider from getting to the Forge of Spells. So it does say that if you flee, the zombies will not pursue for more than 1 round outside of this room. But yeah, this is a pretty tough one. The Flame Skull using a fireball on a 4th level party is gonna put some hurt on them. And that many enemies. The action economy in 5th edition D&D, the more enemies there are, the tougher the battle gets. It doesn't matter how strong they are. So your party's gonna have to be clever. Hopefully they're sneaking around, using their perception and taking things slow. But yeah, this is going to be a tough little room. And there's not really any treasure in here. So the main purpose, the main usefulness of this room is that it connects so many other places in this dungeon. Area W13 is the Starry Cavern, and it takes up most of the right section of this map. It is where you would come out if you went through the fungi room from earlier. The reason it's called the Starry Cavern is that there are minerals all in the ceiling that glitter and sparkle and reflect any light, giving the appearance of a starry night. There are skeletons scattered all around here. There are scorch marks on everything from a magic battle that happened here when the raiders attacked. If you just want to not mention that it was raiders, like I've talked about multiple times, and just have this be damage from the exploding obelisk, that's probably what I would go with. The cavern is big enough to actually have 2 separate buildings freestanding in this cavern. And unlike the rest of this mine, these buildings are proportioned for human size. So none of the skeletons are going to animate and attack you. This room is pretty safe, actually. There's no dangers in here. Anybody who succeeds on an Arcana check does sense the faint aura of magic that gets stronger as you move towards Area W15, and a detect magic spell will reveal the same. Area W14 is the Wizard's Quarters. This little building was used as like a guest bedroom for visiting wizards who were working with the Forge of Spells. That's why it's sized for humans. Most of the wizards who came to work on the Forge were humans from surrounding cities. Everything in here has been blasted with fire, it looks like. Everything's burnt, there's ash. There is a chest in the middle of the room that has also been singed. Hovering around this area is a wraith named Moresque. He is not going to immediately attack. He is basically an angry wraith. He died at the height of the battle when the raiders attacked. I would obviously change that a little bit to connect the 2 halves. I would probably make him one of the main wizards who caused the obelisk to explode, and he's bitter about it. His prized possessions are in the chest. He can no longer interact with them because he's not corporeal. In the chest is 77 gold worth of coins, 5 malachites worth 10 gold pieces each, and a pipe worth 150 gold pieces. So the important thing about Moresque, the wraith, is he is trying to get to the Forge of Spells also. He's like the leader of all the undead in here, the ghouls and the zombies and all. There's not a whole lot of information on how to roleplay Moresque, other than he's bitter about what happened when he was alive, and he's upset that he can't touch his personal belongings. So I'm going to come back to Moresque in a minute. Area W15 is what we've all been waiting for. It's the Forge of Spells. So in here is the forge and a brazier with green flame. There is also a spectator in here who will speak common in a gruff voice. So in the events that caused the downfall of the mine, this spectator's brain was like fried. He was summoned for 101 years of service protecting the Forge of Spells by one of the wizards who used to be here. But in the craziness that happened, his mind got messed up and he thinks that the mine is still operating, and he rationalizes the zombies and ghouls that Moresque sends after him as being totally normal. The book says that if your player characters succeed on a DC 15 deception to convince the spectator that they work for the wizards and that he's being relieved of duty, that he will believe them and he will leave to his home plane. That seems like a really specific idea to put in the book. I don't know how many parties are going to come up with that on their own. So you've got this roleplay situation between Moresque the Wraith and this brain-fried spectator. So Moresque is obviously going to want to get past the spectator. The party is going to want that too. I don't see any reason why Moresque would like it if the party takes his possessions, and the book doesn't really give you any reason why Moresque doesn't attack the party. So what I do is I have Moresque offer the party a deal. That if they get rid of the spectator, and he probably is the one who's going to give them the idea to lie and say that the wizard sent him and that he's relieved of duty, that he will give them both the items in his chest, and he will teach them to use the magic brazier in the Forge of Spells. If your party takes the stuff from the chest without without making the deal with Moresque, if they try and take his stuff, I would have him attack. If they refuse the deal, I would probably have him act angry and stuff, but I wouldn't have him attack right away. I would have him wait for a moment when they're already battling other undead, because it says Moresque is the leader of the undead, and then I would have Moresque show up and fight him, because he's probably smart enough to know he's going to lose a 1-on-3, a 1-on-5, however many your party is. If the party makes that deal, then Moresque, he wants the valuables that are in the Forge of Spells. But the green flame brazier that is in area W15 is magic, and any weapon or suit of armor that is held in there for a minute becomes +1 for 1d12 hours. If they don't make the deal with Moresque or defeat the spectator on their own, or otherwise choose to raid the Forge of Spells, there are things that they are going to find in there, but they won't know how to work the green flame brazier. The party can still figure this out on their own by succeeding a DC 15 Arcana check. So the northern room inside area W15 is a workshop, nothing too special in here. And then one of the other rooms contains a +1 mace and a +1 breastplate. The +1 mace is called Lightbringer. The head of it is shaped like a sunburst. It can be activated to shed light, and it also deals an extra 1d6 damage to undead. The breastplate, it was designed for an old hero of Neverwinter named Turgon, and it gives you advantage against a dragon's breath weapon attack. But let's cut off there so the video doesn't drag on too long, and we will pick up right where we're leaving off in the next video. Thanks, guys.